Hey there, Rednecks, Preppies, Redneck Preppies. It's me, the Redneck Preppy. How you doing today? Great? Good. So we're at the gun range today, and it's a little windy, so if you hear some wind noise on the mic, my apologies. It is what it is when you shoot on location, and it's a very appropriate place for this video because today I am reviewing the Surefire EP10 earplugs, and here they are in person. Why earplugs? Well, currently, I use the Howard Light Impact Sport earmuffs, and they're good. I don't have any problem with them. I've been using them for years. They have a couple of great features to them. They're kind of like a slim profile, so they tend not to get in the way when you're shooting. They've got a noise reduction rating of 22, which is fine. And also they are electronic earmuffs, so you can turn them on and you can hear voices over gunshots. So it kind of blocks the gunshots, mitigates them while you're hearing voices, which is great when you're on the line because you want to hear ceasefire calls and that sort of thing. However, I'm going to be honest with you, over my life, I have not been particularly careful with my hearing, particularly a giant swath of my 20s and 30s when I attended every heavy metal show possible. And frankly put, I lost quite a bit of my hearing. So now that I'm 50, I'm very covetous of the hearing that I have remaining. I can't do anything about the tinnitus, but at least hopefully I can mitigate future ear loss, or hearing loss anyway. Not ears though, I want to keep those. At any rate, so as I was saying, these have a noise reduction rating of 22 decibels, which again is fine. The Surefire EP10s boast an NRR of 30, which is actually really good for ear pro. At least commercial grade ear pro. Of course, when you work in industrial settings, you're probably going to be using even more capable of hearing protection. However, for sport shooting, particularly outside, which is where I tend to do mine, you can get away with, 22 to 30 NRR. So I have decided that instead of using these Howard lights, I'm going to try these. Now, one more reason that I sometimes hate using these things is some of my rifles kind of demand a really weird, cheek or chin weld, and it's mostly the comm block rifles. And sometimes, particularly with my SVT-40, I've noticed, on this side, where I've got my rifle buttstock, it'll knock off my hearing protection. And I have come back from the range many times with this ear ringing because this side keeps getting knocked off. So I'm hoping with these that will be mitigated. Now, just a little bit about the Surefire EP series of hearing protection. They come in two basic styles, and there's a graphic on screen right now kind of showing the whole product line. They come in two kinds. They come in this earplug kind, and they also come with a flange setup. I'm not sure which is better or worse. These are the highest rated earplugs that they have, and they use an earplug kind of mechanism. And divided into that, they've also got hearing protection that is closed. That is, there's no channel that makes its way to your eardrum, while others have a little flange that you can open up, which allows you to hear people talking while you're wearing the ear pro. Unfortunately, with that setup, your NRR falls to 11 decibels, which frankly is unacceptable if you're shooting. So I decided to go with the closed off system so that no sound, or as little sound as possible, could make it through to my eardrum. At any rate, so what I'm going to do here today is I'm first going to use my Howard lights. They're a known quantity to me, and I'm going to fire 7.62 by 39 out of my SKS 45. Then I'm going to employ the Surefire EP10s. Now, I'm going to say at the outset right now that I've always had problems with the earplug style of hearing protection. Either I've got some kind of bizarre ear canal, which absolutely makes it impossible to use these, because I have tested some earplug systems in the past and they did not work out for me. I'm hoping better for this though. So let us begin. First, we are going to fire 5 shots out of the SKS with the Howard lights, and I'm going to turn off any of the electronic assistance because, well, there's nobody else around, so I don't have to hear anybody. And theoretically, that'll provide me with the maximum protection possible. All right, let's go. Okay, so 5 shots with the Howard Light Impact Sport out of a 7.62 by 39 rifle. You can see they're contacting the earmuff. Okay, so they performed as they usually do, no problems. Okay, now 5 shots with the Surefire EP10s. Five out of 5. And I could hear that too. Okay, so I have to... let me get these out. They actually do too good of a job. So I have to admit, I'm actually a little bit impressed by these Surefire EP10s, and that was mostly probably because I had low expectations coming in. As I've said in the past, I don't have particularly good luck with earplug hearing protection. I usually have to rely on earmuffs in order to get the maximum protection that I can. These, though, I'd have to say, actually did a pretty good job. When I did the clap test, I noticed that the Impact Sport were a little louder than the EP10s. However, the actual impulse noise of shooting, that is, of course, what really matters. And I noticed that the Impact Sports kind of had a more thuddy sound when I had the earmuffs on, whereas the EP10s sounded a little sharper when gunshots were going off, but I didn't notice any actual kind of pain resulting from the sound of gunshots with the EP10s. I don't know if I got the full NRR of 30 decibels from them, maybe because I got that weird ear canal thing that I think I must have, although, well, nobody has ever mentioned it before during hearing tests. But having said that, I found the EP10s to be working fantastic, and in fact, I think these are going to be my new primary hearing protection. I think it's fantastic. So they passed the test. Now, just to give you an idea of what it is that you get when you purchase these, you of course get the ear protection, the earplugs, with a handy lanyard. You get this natty carrying case. You get some instructions, and you also get, I don't have them here because I don't need them, an extra set of these earplugs. That's it. That's what you're getting for $35 Canadian. Well, I guess now we should get down to the meat and potatoes of this whole thing, whether I actually recommend them. So let's go through the pros and cons that I've identified with these. Start with the cons first. I find that they're expensive. Now, I realize that $19 US, $35 Canadian isn't like a huge sum of money, at least for many people. But in comparison, these are virtually free. And they give these away at my gun range, and I'm presuming that a lot of gun ranges also have these lying around for people in case they forget their ear pro. These promise, the Surefire EP10s promise a 30 NRR hearing protection. These are 29. Is the extra money, which is virtually $18 or $35 Canadian, worth that extra decibel of protection? I'll leave that for you to decide. But you can buy these for in bulk by the 100 for a couple of bucks, so that's up to you. Second con is they do tend to muffle voices, which may or may not be a pro or a con to you. To me, it's a bit of a con because you do use these at the gun range, and you want to be able to hear ceasefires and other calls. Now, that's not to say that you can't hear voices, because you can, but if they tend to be a little bit further away from you, or maybe they're not as loud as they should be if they're calling a ceasefire, you might hear a muffled voice rather than a clear call. So, that's up to you. Obviously, powered earmuffs do a better job of transmitting voices to you because they're designed specifically to allow that frequency. Next up, this one most people don't think about when they buy these, but these foam ear tips, which are removable and replaceable, don't last forever. The company actually recommends that you replace them every couple of months. Now, you get an extra set of foam tips, so if you replace them every, let's say, 4 months, you're looking at 8 months usage with what you get in the kit. Now, the company will helpfully sell you more ear tips, but you are now on basically a subscription plan because you're not going to spend $19/$35 to buy these just to use them for 8 months. So keep that in mind, that you will need to buy ear tips in the future. Another con is, depending on the nature of your ear, because some people produce schmutz by the truckload, no matter how clean they are, that these do tend to get a little grungy probably for some people, so you will have to clean them too. So keep that in mind as well. I guess that kind of plays into the, the replaceable, and you're going to have to buy some more at a future point. Let's go with pros. I find them to be comfortable. Generally, I don't particularly enjoy wearing earplugs. I find I can always feel them. But I wore these for several hours over a couple of different trips to the range, and I didn't have any issue with them. A lot of people report wearing earplugs that their ears start to itch, or it's uncomfortable, whatever it may be. If it's the flange kind, maybe they can actually feel those flanges on the side of their ear canal. I can't say that I experienced any of that. They seemed fine to me. Not to say that I particularly still care for wearing earplugs, but I didn't find these ones to be uncomfortable. But everyone's ear is different, so keep that in mind. They do work. Once you get these in, and then you lock it into the bowl of your ear with this guard here, you get a pretty good seal, and they do work. Now, did I get the full NRR of 30 out of these? Because it's up to. There's no guarantee that you're going to get the full 30, right? I don't have the scientific equipment to be able to figure out whether it is or not that I got the full 30 NRR and they work as advertised, and no ear specialist is willing me to allow me to schlep out all of their equipment to do scientific testing here at the range. So I'm going to have to go by just feeling and how it felt. And I can't say that I experienced any discomfort after several hours of shooting both heavier and lighter caliber rifles. So they do seem to work, I will say that much. I did notice the quality of the sound was different with the Howard Light Sport Impacts, which kind of reduces everything to more of a duller thud, versus these where it's a sharper sound of the rifle's gunshot going off and the action, but it didn't cause me pain. So it did reduce that noise quite a bit, but the nature of the sound was different. Now, does that indicate that they don't work as well as the earmuffs? I don't know, to be honest with you. But like I said, they did seem to work for me, and I'm not experiencing any pain or ringing of my ears. So for whatever it's worth, they do work. I guess now it's recommendation time. I would recommend them if, one, you don't mind spending $19 or $35 Canadian for them. Again, given that you can get earplugs basically for free. I would recommend them if your current solution isn't working out for you, in the sense that, maybe the buttstock during firing does knock your ear pro off and you're looking for a solution to that. And also that you don't mind spending that money, of course, and getting on the subscription plan, essentially, for earplugs, or the tips for the earplugs anyway. So if your use case is your current solution isn't working, you don't mind spending the money, and you don't mind wearing earplugs, I think that they're actually a pretty good solution for you. If your current system works and you're getting great hearing protection already, I don't really see the need to buy these, because I don't think they're really going to add anything to you. If you want to wear these and earmuffs as well, which is not a horrible idea, I do it on occasion myself, yeah, maybe they could be useful there as well. But again, you can get those cheap earplugs which do almost as good of a job as, you know, these EP10s, and use those in addition to earmuffs. So guarded recommendation, if they fit your use case scenario, then yes, absolutely, I think they're worth a buy, and at least worth a try. If you're happy with your current EarPro solution and it doesn't cause you any issues, then no, I don't think it's an upgrade or anything like that. I think at most you'll be moving laterally in terms of the quality of the hearing protection that you're going to get. At any rate, those are my thoughts on the whole thing. I'm going to continue using them. I find that they do work. When it comes to the bigger boomer rifles that I have, I may opt for the Howard Lights, or the Howard Lights with these, just to make sure that, you know, I don't get any knocking off issues as I have with some of my rifles, again, particularly with the SVT-40. Because yeah, they work for me. I'm going to be interested to see how they work with sharper sounding rifles. Something like 22, which isn't loud, but I find it's got a sharper noise to it. I didn't get a chance to test it with 22 because I wanted to use the more louder, powerful rifles that I have to test it. That'll be interesting to see how it works with that. I think they'll be absolutely perfect. No issues there at all. But I also tend to shoot my 22 indoors from a shoot shack, which is just up there. So that'll be an interesting test case as well. Because some people have noticed that, or commented that they think that maybe they're not as good shooting indoors as they are outdoors. Yeah. That's a question that'll be answered only by you, because again, it depends on your use case scenario. Me, I tend to actually shoot outdoors 95% of the time. At any rate, those are my thoughts on the whole thing. I hope that, as usual, you found this review at least vaguely entertaining and informative. May all of your shots ring true, particularly while you're wearing your hearing protection. And I hope you have yourself a great day. Take care.